Your presentation, you practiced it alone in your room, you practiced it again the night before, you know the slides, you know the points. But the second you stand in front of everyone, your heart starts racing, your mouth goes dry, your hands feel useless, your mind goes blank, and suddenly you forget how to speak. This is not unusual. It happens to people who prepared carefully. The problem is often not knowledge. The problem is what your nervous system does under observation. Being watched changes your body before it changes your words. This video is about how to present without panicking. There are a few simple things that make presenting feel dramatically easier. Here's something almost nobody practices. When you rehearse, deliberately stop halfway through a sentence, lose your place on purpose, look down at your notes, then continue as if nothing catastrophic happened. Most people rehearse as if the presentation must stay perfect from start to finish. They run the talk cleanly once, then they call that preparation. That creates a fragile kind of confidence. It only works if nothing goes wrong, but live speaking almost always includes small mistakes. You pause too long, you skip a point, you lose your next sentence for half a second. One of the biggest sources of presentation anxiety is not the presentation itself. It is the thought, what happens if I mess up? Your brain treats that question like an open threat. By rehearsing the mess up, you give your brain evidence. You learn that a mistake is not the end of the talk. It is a brief interruption, and interruption is survivable. I need to relax. Then you notice that you're still nervous, and now you're nervous about being nervous. That second layer is often worse than the first one. The first layer is physiology. The second layer is judgment. Judgment adds pressure on top of pressure. Trying to force calm becomes another performance test. Instead, try interpreting the feeling differently. A racing heart does not only happen when you're afraid. This is activation, not collapse. You do not need to convince yourself that you feel completely calm. That is usually impossible right before you speak. You're simply giving the physical sensation a less threatening explanation. When the explanation becomes less threatening, the spiral often slows down. You're not trying to erase the feeling, you're trying to stop misreading it. Never memorize the entire script. Many people try to memorize every sentence before a presentation. It feels safe, but it can make you more nervous. Because if your presentation exists in your head as one perfect chain of words, forgetting a single sentence can feel like losing your place. That is a terrible place to put your confidence. Clean start reduces the early panic spike, but memorizing the beginning does not mean memorizing every sentence after that. If you lose a sentence, you still know where you are in the talk. You can look at your notes, you can skip ahead, you can restate the point in simpler words. Structure gives you room to recover. A perfect script gives you almost none. Think of the talk as rooms you walk through, not as one unbroken sentence. If you stumble in one room, you still know which door comes next. Looking at an entire audience can make your brain feel like 50 people are judging you at once. Your voice gets thinner, your pace gets faster. So, do not talk to 50 people. Talk to one. Find one person who looks receptive. Deliver one complete thought to them. Then naturally move to someone else. Intense staring makes both of you uncomfortable. You're simply allowing your attention to land somewhere real. Suddenly, public speaking starts feeling less like performing in front of a crowd. It starts feeling more like several very short conversations. Your voice often becomes more natural when you do this. Your pacing often becomes more human. Your gestures often become smaller and clearer, and your brain has a simpler job. One person, one thought. If the room feels hostile, still choose one face that seems neutral. Neutral is enough. You do not need the whole room to smile before you can speak. You only need one place to put your attention. That is the whole technique. 5 quick hacks before your next presentation. Here are 5 things you can use right before you walk up. Hold something cold before you start. A cold water bottle in your hand gives you something concrete to focus on. It can interrupt the spiral of self-monitoring that often starts in the final minute. Cold sensation pulls attention outward. That is useful when your mind is looping inward. Nervousness almost always makes people begin too fast. Speed makes every later mistake feel larger. A slow first line gives you time to hear your own voice. If the first sentence is deliberately slow, you set the tempo for the rest. Exhale before your first word. Many people take a big breath and start talking immediately. That keeps the chest tight. Instead, finish a calm exhale first. Let your shoulders drop, then begin. Find one friendly face. When you walk up, look for someone who seems engaged or kind. One face reduces the size of the moment. Have an emergency sentence. Decide in advance what you will say if you lose your place. Something simple works best. Let me return to my last point. Or let me pause for 1 second. That sentence buys you time without panic. Now you have a line ready when it happens live. Those 5 tools take almost no time. They change the first 30 seconds, and the first 30 seconds often decide how the rest feels. Presenting will probably always create some tension. That does not mean something is wrong with you. It means the moment matters. You do not need a perfect rehearsal. You need a rehearsal that includes recovery, practice the mistake, reframe the nerves, memorize the map, not the script, speak to one face, then use the 5 hacks in the final minute before you begin.